Hi, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to Real Talk with Karen Weaver. I have a special guest with me today, and I'm so happy to have Michelle Stimpson with us today to talk, have a conversation.
Yes.
I want to say, listen, I want to introduce you, I should say, renowned author. Michelle Stimpson. Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you. And for some of you, maybe she looks familiar. Some of you may have seen her because you were here not that long ago.
Yes.
And
Just a few months ago.
it
Yes.
was just, I know it. And let me say again to you, thank you. Thank you for coming to Flint.
Thank you so much.
Uh, when you came, we had such a good time. And we came around a book. We came around this book. I know I always start moving it when I hold it, Michelle, and I rub it. I know I do. The Sisters with the Side of Greens, because this really, it did something for me. It really, really did.
Thank you
And
so
it did
much.
something. Yeah, I mean, it did something for the women that got an opportunity to read it either before you came or have read it since you left and have talked to me. Women that have purchased this book, and I want to talk about this for a little bit. But really, have you say a few words about yourself? But I'm gonna tell you, Michelle, I found this at the library. This is
Awesome.
at the Flint Public Library
This is
now.
what, yes, a library is a beautiful place. So thank you again for having me, Karen. It is my
Yes.
pleasure to get back to Detroit or to Flint in some type of way. Get back to Michigan where I feel like y'all are my people.
We are. We feel that way too.
Right. I was supposed to be migrating. I never did migrate. Um, but I am coming bring you greetings from Dallas, just outside Dallas, and super excited to share about Sisters with a Side of Greens. There's lots of family and food and sisterhood and issues and all those things in this book. So I'm excited.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. When she came to Flint, it was women. It was women coming together because I thought it was such a good story about women and relationships with women,
Yeah,
whether they were family or family. Sometimes you just bring people into the family, and that's what
right,
took place
right.
in this book. And we had such a good time, and people said what a positive event it was, and they have just talked about this book.
Yeah.
And I said, so I got a call the other day, Michelle, and they
Mm.
said, guess what's at the library? I said, what? In fact, it was Liz Taylor. She said, guess what book
Wow.
is at the library? I said,
Oh
what book?
goodness.
She said, Michelle's book is there. And
Wow.
I said, oh, wow. And I said, I'm so excited about that.
Liz
And
is
so
a
when,
nice one. Yes, yes. And and I don't mean to cut you off, but the
go
whole
ahead.
idea of family and sisters and women in particular, women, we have such complex relationships.
Mhm.
Part of the reason that I think we have those complex relationships with other women and with others is because we have complex inner lives, right? So
Right.
we are doing so many things for other people, knowing that we need to take time for ourselves at the same time. But that complexity that we deal with, how we're socialized, and all of that, just is something that we deal with internally, and I think it shows up a lot in our relationships as well.
And I think that's why the story was such a relatable story too, because we could identify with it. My sister, who you met, she was there when you came, and she
Yes,
started reading it. And she said, "Girl, I started reading that book." She said, "And once I got started, that was it."
that's
But that's what
exciting.
we're going to say.
Yes, yes, that's exciting to hear, and I think women especially, the characters in this book are older than a lot of times what you'll see in women's fiction. So they're
Mhm.
60 along that line, and really thinking about what the next phases of their lives look like. And I think that's something that we don't always see a lot in fiction, and I love to see that myself.
But you know what? It was interesting because shortly after you left, that was one of the things that we noticed about this book. It had young women as well in here, but it was about women in their 60s. I went to something at the Art Institute, and it reminded me of this book because they featured actual it was Black women artists that were 60 and older, and they
Wow.
just I mean, and it was such a beautiful, powerful thing. And I
Mm,
think so we could come together around that the same way. people were able to come together around this book. But this book is for women of any age. It's for people of any age.
Exactly. Yeah, the stories and anybody who loves food, anybody who eats food, everybody.
And that's what we came together around, was food in this book. Was food in
Yes,
this book. And so it was really nice. So I wanted to come to the library because I heard your book was here. And then I don't know if you remember Billy, and
yes,
she was a librarian, and she said, "Come here, let me show you some other things." She said, "See, because for some of us, for me, you were new."
hmm
And I remember, I just think we need to bust the myth about us coming to libraries, about reading and being interested in those kinds of things. So she said, "Look, because you were new to me, so that's me being naive on some things." But then I saw this. Then I saw this.
Oh my
Then I
goodness.
saw
Look at all my
this.
babies. I feel
Then
like
I
all my
saw,
babies are there.
look, this.
Oh my goodness. That is a classic. Oh
So I
my
just want people to know, if they're not familiar with you, or if they are, she's here at the library. Michelle Stimpson is here, y'all, right at the Flint
yeah,
Public Library.
yes,
And
yes.
also Comma Bookstore, if you want to go buy a book. I know Egypt has some of your books at the bookstore that
Yes,
are for sale. We
yes.
were talking to someone that had just gone over to Comma the other day, and had gotten the book, and they were letting me know they had gotten the book. So I said, "That is
Oh,
wonderful."
that's so awesome. Our libraries are such a gem and such a treasure in our community
Mhm,
still. I mean,
mhm.
it's just a place where anybody can get in there and get what feeds them and grow and go places. That's one thing I loved about the library. I feel like when I went to the library and I started reading books, I could go places and I could visit
That's
countries and time periods and people. And that's what I love about a library.
mhm.
It just
Yeah, you
opens
can go
up the
anywhere
world.
you want to in the
Yes.
library. And so
Yes.
I want people to feel comfortable at the library and come to the library. And so that was another reason I wanted to do it here. I don't know if I would have thought to do it here, but when she said your book was here, I said, "Oh, we're going to the library."
All right. It'll be right there.
And that's why we're here. But there are a couple things, because I know we don't have a lot of time, but there are a couple things I want to make sure we talk about, Michelle.
Okay.
One is you have a new Audible
I do.
out,
I do.
Mr. and Mrs. Christmas.
Mr. and Mrs. Christmas is available Audible. Oh, it's an Audible exclusive. And here's the cool thing about this one. This story takes place in a fictitious town in
In
Michigan.
Michigan,
Woo, woo,
in
woo.
the in
Yeah.
the mitten. It's in the mitten.
Yes. I was like,
Now,
yes,
how did you do that? How did you come up with doing a story about here in Michigan?
there was going to be a cherry tree farm. There was going to
Uh-huh.
be snow. And I was like, where else can you get all of that? You have to have the right climate for all that kind of stuff. And so
And
as I
Michigan,
was
up in Traverse City, it's the cherry tree capital.
that's what I'm talking about. And there's a lot
Right.
of history in Michigan too that I
Hmm.
wanted
Yeah.
to think through as well. So when I talked to my agent about it, we were thinking, I've done some Christmas, books before, but we were like, oh, we gotta go someplace where the setting makes you want to feel like it's a Christmassy setting. So what better place than Michigan, right?
You know what? That's right, because we are what are we? The water winter wonderland.
That's what I'm talking about. We got a farm, we got a family farm, we got a small town bakery. We've got all kinds of things
Mhm. And
in
there
Michigan.
are places like that in Michigan,
Exactly.
because, so listen to this. I've never done an Audible before. This was
Oh,
my first time. Actually, I don't know, other than when I was a kid, if I ever read a Christmas story as an adult.
okay, okay,
And I've never listened to a book. So this
what?
was a whole new experience for me.
Okay, okay,
Okay,
yes,
but
yeah.
I'm getting ready to, I don't know if I'm getting ready to do chapter 5 or if I'm on chapter 5, but it was just, I said, I said, okay, I was in the car and I
Yeah,
started listening to this.
mhm,
And then you start picturing it. I
yes.
really am enjoying it,
Why,
about
thank you.
Leslie and Jamal.
Yes, Leslie and Jamal and Pop Pops and all the family. There's always got to be somebody it puts you in the mindset of all the kind of Hallmark Christmas movies and that kind of thing.
Right.
You've got the Pop who kind of looks like he could be Santa Claus. All kinds of stuff that you find in that whole, go back home because you're too busy type of a life. And then
Mm-hmm.
you find you run into the person that you had the crush on back in the day. So it's definitely gives all those feel goods, the
It
fake
does.
romance trope and all that kind of stuff. So it'll
And
be good. And
that
there's a
was different.
mayor.
Huh?
There's a mayor in the book.
Yes, and there's a May. I know it. So I'm just so intrigued by this, and I don't think I've ever read or listened to or
Oh, I
read
lost you
a
there.
romance story.
Okay, yes.
I've read books where there was romance in it, but
Mhm.
I was like, I wonder how am I gonna do with this? But look, can't wait to see. I'm gonna tell you where I am in the story.
Okay, I'm ready.
So I am where Leslie and Jamal, I guess they had gotten up the next morning going to the restaurant, right? And
Mhm.
there's this line outside
Yes,
because
the
it's
social
been
media.
announced that they're Mr. and Mrs. Christmas.
Yes, Mr. and Mrs. It's one of those fake romances. Well, it's a fake engagement, a fake relationship. You know
It's
how that
it's
whole trope goes. Yeah. Yes. And she had a crush on him a long, long time ago. Um, but the thing is, he is her best friend's big brother. Now that's a line you kind of don't want to cross. So just a lot of
but it
fun in
is.
Michigan.
Yeah,
Yes,
it is.
yes.
So I'm liking it. I am really liking
Thank
it. And I
you.
said, oh, okay,
I'm
this
so
is what
glad.
it's like to listen to a
Yes,
book
and
because I know some you do.
libraries have access to audiobooks. Not necessarily this one, but I know they have all kinds of
So I might have to
things
go
that
and
they.
look and see. You never know.
Mhm. Oh
Because I
yes,
just didn't know
libraries.
all of these were here. All of these
Hmm.
other ones that I held up. So I'm going to go and look after this and see if it is. But
Yeah,
I've really been enjoying it. It's nice to listen to when I'm in the car. It's nice to listen to when I'm in the kitchen doing things. I've just been,
thank
in
you.
fact, and again, I was listening last night. Uh, when I went to bed, I was listening to the story, and
Well,
it's relaxing to do that as well.
thank you. And I think one of the things that I'm really conscious about when I write a Christmas story is I know that people are traveling with family, they're cooking in the kitchen with family, and I
Hmm.
want it to be clean enough so that if you're writing with a small child or that it will be okay. They might not want to hear about all the kissing and the romance, but it's not going to be explicit and it's not going to
Right.
be something that you can't listen to with a child in the car.
And so I mean, see, you're right. So at least so far, I haven't come across anything where
Mhm.
I would be uncomfortable with it, with a child listening to
Right,
this book at
right,
all.
and this is Christmas is a family time, and so I wanted to make sure that I was conscious of that because I've heard people say, I was on a road trip with my family, or we were all in the kitchen making cookies, and I want them to be able to not I didn't want them to have to say, "I gotta turn this off because my child is
Hmm.
on my grandma."
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like when you're listening to music and all of a sudden you're like, change the station.
Right,
You don't want that.
right. They may not be interested in it, but it's not gonna cause a problem.
Exactly. Exactly. So how did you come up with that though? I mean, I'm just, I don't have creative juices like that.
The funny thing about
No.
romance is, well, I'll say too, I had some partners with this one. I got a chance to brainstorm with my agent and her team to kind of think through because Christmas and romance are I mean, the couple meet, they fall in love, something happens and they break up and then they realize they gotta get back. Like that's how romance novels work. I don't care who's writing it, I don't care and what I don't care. That's how it's gonna be. And so you do have to be really creative about what you can do different, what elements you can
Hmm.
but you just cannot get away from snow and
Hmm.
romance and hot
I
chocolate
was
and
gonna say
all
hot
those other
chocolate.
things that go along with Christmas and in a Christmas romance.
It made me think about, I don't know where I thought I was. Somewhere, I'm trying to remember I can't think of the name of the little city, but I was talking about the Traverse City being the cherry capital.
Mhm.
Some of the little towns around there is what it made me think of. And then
Yeah.
she was getting away from Detroit, the big city, and just needing to go home to some
Yes.
peace and quiet and relaxation and falling in love.
Yes, falling in love with the guy you used to have a crush on way back in the day.
It's a good story.
There's also some dogs in the story.
Oh,
So
okay.
people love animals and people love food and animals
That's
and
right.
right?
That's
So
right. There
anytime you
are.
bring animals into the story. I mean, I actually had a dog, a really cute little dog. She's gone on to doggy heaven now, but um animals are a part of life and animals
Mhm.
are very important to people. So I really wanted to make that little cute animal piece in there as well. But I mean, you just can't get away from the beauty of Michigan at this time of year. And I really wanted to, I'm glad that it's almost like the setting is a part of the story.
It is. It is.
Hmm.
It is, and it has a very familiar feel to it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that from a native Michigander.
Yeah,
I'm
it did. It
excited.
had a familiar feel. It's a place I can imagine.
Okay, that makes me
That's
happy.
that's how it felt to me. Like I could imagine this little place as someplace I'd go,
Mhm.
at vacation time when you just want to relax because there are so many little places around Michigan
Right, places
to do that.
to escape to. Yeah, that's beautiful.
So
And there's going to be a library in that little town.
that's
And you can pick up some more books when you're
that's
there.
right. And so speaking of writing,
Mhm,
because you and I had a conversation one time. I said, yeah, somebody's always talking about write a book. And I said, I wouldn't know where to start. And
mhm.
you have something coming up for people like me that say,
Right.
well, I don't know where to start. Or maybe I'm scared to start, but you have something coming up. So talk about that. I think, it's a writing cohort.
It is. It absolutely is. So I am working with a co-author of mine. I've written a lot of books with other people, and we are doing something called Write That Book. It is going to be a 3-month long cohort of authors who are ready to do this thing. And so we're going to be. I think in the past, Karen, I had just kind of told people, you just need to write the book. Like, what are we talking? Still, write the book. But I realized that it comes easily for me because I've done it a lot, and I needed to back up and go, everybody is not me. You know what I mean? I need to
Hmm.
absolutely be able to share what it is that you actually do to write a book. And so from January through March, we are holding people's hands. Cassandra McLaughlin and I are holding people's hands, meeting once a week, either one-on-one or in the group to get feedback, to just literally sit there and go, okay, type the next sentence. All right, what does it say? What do you think? Yeah, no, all right, fix it. We're going back. Type the next, like to really walk people through what that is and hold them accountable, but also bring that sense of community. We call ourselves the writing aunties. Like we're the aunties that are going to be watching you and helping you and watching you.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
so we're excited about that.
So is there still room for people that are listening to this that might want to join?
Um, yes and no, because our deadline for this first group is coming up really, really close, and I think we're going to be full. But we'll probably do it again in the around March or April so that we can get a second cohort going because it's going to be a lot. And so the website that we have for it is going to stay the same so that people can sign up or either get on the wait list so that you can sign up for the next one.
Okay, okay. So you're talking to me now. Because I did listen.
I mean, we
I
just got
said,
a couple of spots left, but I know it's the 16th is the deadline, and I know that this will come out after. So,
oh yeah. So you all missed it. But you have
but
another opportunity
yes,
in March or April to do the writing cohort.
yes, and I guess I'm just gonna put it in the chat, and
Okay.
so you can put it up there whenever people are able to see it.
Okay, that would be good. That would be good because people people talk about it a lot, but where do you start? How do you get
Yeah,
started? And you do need somebody to hold you accountable because I know I'd probably write a couple of sentences and put it away and be done.
right. But that's okay. We can hold a spot for you if you need to get in January.
Because I need to get in. I keep saying I want to do something, but I am. It's kind of scary too.
It is. Writing can be very scary because you're putting yourself out there on the page. At some point, someone's going to read it and not like it. Someone's going to read it
Yes.
and love it. All of those things are going to happen. And I think I'm actually working with somebody right now. We've been working on this book for many months. And if she sees it, she'll know I'm talking about her in a good way. But we finally pushed the button 2 days ago for it to go live. And so
Okay.
it has been part of what I do when I work with folks. It's part of it is counseling, just like I used to be a teacher. So you're teaching, but you're also having to counsel people. And I don't mean that in a bad way. You get a
No,
chance to counsel people, and you really get a chance to let people to shine a light and be that light, so that people can recognize how great their story is within them, and how many people are waiting on the other side of their obedience to hear that story.
does that happen with you though? Do you get nervous about when you write a book and
And
it's getting ready to go out?
it's not so much, that's not the part where I get nervous. I get nervous about three-fourths of the way through the book as I'm writing it. I've been writing this book, and like at some point I just go, this is terrible. This is the worst book I have ever written. No one's gonna read. This is gonna be the end of my career. Like every single book, three-fourths of the way through, that's the wall that I hit. It's not the after
Okay.
part. It's in the middle of it is where it gets hard for me. Three-fourths of the way, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Every time. Every
Every
single time I
time.
write a book, that's what happens.
Okay.
So now I
Okay.
know to expect it though, because in the past, I would in my first several books, I would start writing, get to that point, put it away, realize I had a deadline to get the book to the publisher,
Hmm.
and then I start writing another book, and then I'll be like, this is worse than the other one. So then I go back to the other one, then I'll be like, this is actually kind of good, and then I'd finish it. So that's how it went. I just think
Okay.
I just didn't have the space. I was too far into it to really recognize that it was actually good. Um,
Hmm.
so I took a. It's like I needed to take a step back and then come back into it to really appreciate what was there. So it's a process. It is art,
Yes.
and every single book that I've written, I have a lot of 5 stars, but there's always going to be a 1 star, and they'll tell you why, and I might even agree with what they say.
Hmm.
It's already out there at this point.
Hmm. Well, this was a 5 star for me. I'm just gonna tell you, you all really they need this was such a good book. And I'm enjoying the one that the Mr. and Mrs. Christmas that I'm listening to right
Thank
now.
you so much. I
Hmm.
appreciate
And
that.
so, I thank you for coming to Flint. I need to thank you for helping me because I told you I had gotten away from reading as entertainment, and that is
Yeah.
so important that we do that because, like you said, we can go anywhere when you're
Mhm.
reading books. And you take us to different places and we feel different things and we feel those relationships, identify with the people. And so I'm so glad that I did. I'm glad I found you. I'm
Oh,
glad I
thank you.
found you.
Same here. Same here.
And I'll tell you what, we want you to come back. We're trying to get
I would
some
love
things worked
to.
out. We want you to come back.
Yes.
People said they just loved listening to you talk.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
and just I don't know, it was just a good feeling and wanting more
And
of those kinds of things. And that's what we had when you came. I talked to Valinda, and she told me to be sure and tell you hello,
oh,
Janice.
tell
So
them I said
yes, I
hi.
mean, yeah, they did. They really enjoyed being with you and just listening to your story. Not just your story in the book, but your story and how you got where you are and why this is so important and about women and relationships
Yes,
and
thank
then
you.
putting pen to paper.
Yes, putting the pen to the paper or on the screen, whatever it is you needed to do. But
Hmm.
I enjoyed meeting you all too, and I think part of the reason that I loved it so much is because again, I love how women interact. I love our complexity. I love the how our relationships work and the good and the bad and the ugly and all of that. It just makes life more rich, I think. And so I appreciate you all for having me there. It was a blessing to me as well.
Okay, well, just know we're going to look for you to come back.
All right. Well, let
We're
me
going to
know.
look
I'll
for you
get
to
my
come
heavy
back.
coat ready. I'll get my coat ready or whatever it is I need.
Ooh, you would need, you need right now coat, hat, gloves, scarf, boots. It's no snow.
All of
It's just a little bit of snow, but your feet will get cold too.
that. Okay. Well, if whenever y'all have me out there, I'll just get my wardrobe together so I can be all right.
You'll be Michigan ready.
Yes, that's what I need to be Michigan
Be
ready.
Michigan ready. Well, good. And again, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your time and just having this conversation with us. And I look forward to finishing my book. I'm going to let everybody know how that is.
Oh,
Finishing
thank
my
you.
Mr. and Mrs. Christmas, the Audible. And people can, how do people get that again? Tell them how to get that if they don't
So,
know.
so for Audible, if you have an Audible subscription, it is already free for you.
Okay.
You can just listen that way. The library may not have that particular book because I
Mhm.
know that was an Audible exclusive, but lots of my other books are on Audible, and so not on audio, I should say. And so
Okay.
libraries often have a subscription to an audio book as well. So I didn't even know that till a couple of years ago. They have subscriptions to a lot of the language learning things that people are paying for outside. But if you're already paying for your library, you can probably get, I don't know the names of them, but I know that there are some really popular ones that you can get through the library and learn a whole nother language, like all kinds of stuff
Mhm.
in the library. People just need to go out there and explore.
And I'll tell you what else you can come and get at the library. You can come and read some more of the book
Yes,
of Michelle
you can.
Stimpson.
You certainly
I mean,
can.
there are books here at the library.
Yes,
I can't hold them
here.
all up at the same time.
Thank you
But
so much.
sometimes I just want people to know that you're here. And because people enjoy Sisters with a Side of Green, so there's others. There's Boaz Brown,
Yes,
the
that's the
good
true
stuff.
true romance.
What is this one? Divas of Damascus Road.
Yeah. Oh, let me
Falling
tell you,
into
Falling into
Grace.
Grace. Falling into
Hmm.
Grace has been optioned for a movie, so we shall see.
Wow. Okay, so you all might want to come get this.
Right. Read that. You want to read the book before the movie comes out, right?
That's
So
right. And
yeah,
then someone to watch over me. So
another
she's here
romance.
at the Flint, let me say at the Gloria Coles Flint Public
Yeah,
Library.
thank
And
you.
so
Oh,
I just want everybody to know, and I want to say again, thank you for coming. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. I
same
will
to
finish my Audible, and I'm going to let you know about that when I'm done. And we look forward to seeing you again, Michelle.
awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's a blessing. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Okay, thank you.